Hey, this is the Entertainment Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is a problem with modern pop music, or I should say the biggest problem with modern pop music today. Now, there's many different things that are problematic about modern pop music, but this one is the biggest one of all, for that matter, out of the many different things people complain about for modern pop music. So now that I've mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the biggest problem with modern pop music. What exactly is the biggest problem with modern pop music? The biggest problem with modern pop music is simply down to the fact that it has a retro theme, okay? It's retro themed, to be quite honest with you nowadays. And there's two main reasons why it is problematic, okay? I've already talked about this for another one of my videos before, the top 5 problems with modern pop music. And for this video, I'll go into more detail explaining why this is problematic, okay? So now that I've mentioned that, let's get started with the first point. So the first reason why it is so problematic is simply down to the fact of the matter that it kills the vibe, you know, because in a sense, okay? Because whenever you listen to music, okay, as we all know in this world, music is powerful, okay? It's very powerful. It's you know, regardless of your taste and so on and so forth, we all have different tastes. We can all agree music is powerful, okay? That is the truth about music. It does something to people, okay? And it also not just is powerful in that sense, it's also powerful when it comes to capturing an era. Whether it's the 1980s, the 1990s, the 2000s, or at least for the 2010s, before the retro theme became popular, capturing the early 2010s with groups like LMFAO, you know, artists like Pitbull, Flo Rida, all that type of stuff, okay? It's very powerful, okay? And it definitely can capture an era and define a generation for that matter, okay? So for that very reason, why do I want to live in a time period like the 2020s, as we all know we're living in now, and listen to something that makes us act and look and dress and even, you know, even and maybe in some ways, who knows, even talk like our parents did? That's a problem with retro themed pop music, okay? I'll get to the other reason why it's musically you know, problematic soon, but for now I'm just gonna continue on with this first point. And like I was saying, it's just problematic. It's problematic to have retro theme music, you know, to continue on with my first point, okay? Because the problem with retro theme music is that it's problematic because it's just simply copying something that was done before, okay? We live in an age now where people are dressing actually like in a way that people haven't dressed in decades. And of course music as well is making us literally listen to music that sounds like something our parents would have listened to, you know, or even parents in some cases would have listened to. And that's problematic because when it comes to living life, okay, or just in general, anyone, I want to feel like I'm in a time period I'm actually in, okay? I don't want to feel like I'm in the 1980s or 1990s. I want to feel like I'm in a time period now, okay? And that kills the vibe, because when you listen to something that makes you kind of think about the past, it's also psychologically problematic as well, because it makes you idealize the past. I can tell you one thing, okay? I might not have been around in the 1980s, and most of the 1990s I can't really remember, but I can definitely tell you one thing from the little experience I can remember from like 1999 to the people I've talked to and so on and so forth, especially with my good memory. Most people who lived those eras thought life was boring. They didn't even enjoy it that much. Most people hated it. Most people had to go to school and hated going to school and all that sort of stuff, you know? And that is the truth about it. It wasn't this magical era like we think. It's just that things in the world have gotten so much worse that we look at things that were actually mid for the time as being so much more amazing than they actually were. Not to mention Okay, it's also problematic because it causes a problem because in the sense that it prevents people from creating new memories. It prevents people from creating new experiences. The more you listen to retro theme music, especially if you're of an older age, it just helps you it just reminds you of past experiences and past situations that maybe you kind of want to move on from. There's a lot of things that happened in the past, especially with the fact that a lot of the social rules and constructs we have now, we didn't have back then when we were younger and stuff, especially going decades back, you know. So there's a lot of memories and a lot of situations I can tell you for certain, not even just from my experience, but a lot of people's experience, that you kind of want to forget and move on from. And even people you met in your past that you now know that you have had a falling out with, that was not even like bad, it was just ugly, that you kind of want to forget about it. Just like someone you had a bitter divorce with because they cheated on you with another man. Why the hell do I want to do something that helps me remember that person in any way, shape, or form? I want to move on from that. And that's a problem with retro theme music. It helps us remember old memories. Or I should say the biggest problem with retro theme music, it helps us remember old things instead of moving on and creating new memories and new experiences. Just reminds you of people from your past that you just don't want to remember at all, for that matter. Not to mention, it's problematic in a sense that it helps prevents people from defining themselves in the generation that they live in, because it's so much more rewarding to really know the generation or the time period you live in than trying to recapture something from the past. And that definitely does kill the vibe. So that's my first main point. Now my second main point, of course, is that musically it doesn't make any sense, because if you're obviously trying to capture sounds of the past, it actually is problematic because it makes it more likely that people will, of course, surprise, 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 obviously be more limited with the sounds they can create. Because if you're using sounds and methods that are decades old, it is problematic in the sense that, you're using things that obviously are that obviously have been used a bunch more before, okay? A bunch of times. There's so much 1980s music that has been produced, and a lot of it is just, because of the internet, we are finding out about it, and that's still scratching the surface. There's a lot of music that was put out there that is not been released and could soon be released. So when you make a lot of music from that time period and you actually listen to the retro theme music now, it makes it more likely you will have songs that sound very similar to a song that's already been created before. And of course, as a result, it limits the variety of diversity for music. Because for music to sound good, it always has to evolve, because if it always is evolving, it prevents it from all sounding the same. Because there's only 12 fundamental notes out there for music, okay? If you keep on 12 fundamental notes, there's of course different octaves and shit like that, but ultimately there's 12 fundamental notes, okay? So the truth of the matter is, when it comes to that particular issue, if you're just simply using the same freaking thing, using things from the past, it limits your experience, it limits your variety, in all honesty, for that matter, okay? It limits limits the amount of things you can create, because music, to be honest with you, is something that always has to evolve. It always has to evolve. And if you're using sounds from the past, then it's not evolving and you're just doing the same freaking thing. So that's a problem with it. And that's exactly what I truly believe needs to be done for music. Okay, we need to get rid of a retro theme and go back to making music that captures our era. This whole crap about the retro theme is not good, and it's problematic in many different ways. What matters most is simply creating music that sounds like something that was released today, but it has meaningful lyrics and it actually doesn't have beats that all sound the same. So anyway, this is my video. This is all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumbs this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all I have to say. And simply put, I'm out. Bye.